Hi, my name's Sophie Dodsworth. I'm the Admiral nurse for young onset dementia, and this is my presentation on the unique support needs of families living with young onset dementia. I'm really pleased to see you here today, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. So we'll start with the session plan. I'll give an introduction to young onset dementia, discuss the estimated prevalence of young onset dementia and the unique challenges of young onset dementia, and some practical steps and support available. I will utilise some case studies and videos throughout the presentation, and there'll be time for questions and answers at the end. So please do pop any questions in the chat box. We'll hopefully have a chance to respond to lots of them. So we'll start off with what is dementia. Dementia is an umbrella term for a range of progressive conditions that affect the brain. Dementia is considered young onset when the symptoms start before the age of 65 years old. Common types of dementia seen in younger people are Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, frontotemporal dementia, alcohol-related dementia, Huntington's disease, and posterior cortical atrophy. There are, however, over 200 subtypes of dementia, and all of these can be seen in a younger adult. The prevalence of young onset dementia is estimated to be 70,000. That would be 7.5% of the total number of people living with dementia in the UK. So quite significant figures. This is only an estimate because of recording of young onset dementia within primary care. It'd be great if we can see exact figures in the future. The prevalence rates of young onset dementia in Black and minority ethnic communities are higher than the population as a whole. People with a learning disability are at greater risk of developing dementia at a younger age, and younger people are more likely to have an inherited form of dementia caused by genetic mutation, although it is important to remember that this is rare. So we'll now move on to an activity. If everybody could have a think about the time of life people may be experiencing young onset dementia. So the symbol does give a bit of a clue with a younger family in the image, but I'll just give you a few seconds to have a think about that. So if we move on to the answers, so people with young onset dementia may still be working. They may need specialist advice following their diagnosis about how to continue to work and support available. People may have significant financial commitments. They may still be paying off their mortgage, and they may be a younger family. So there may be children involved or teenagers, and that person living with dementia having responsibilities for their family. People may be caring for their relatives as well. So they may be living with dementia, but caring for mum and dad, and have those responsibilities to support somebody else. Women with young onset dementia may have perimenopause or menopausal symptoms, and these can be confused for symptoms of dementia or vice versa. And people with young onset dementia often have a more active lifestyle. They may still be driving. So I've got a video here that shows the different symptoms seen in young onset dementia.
When you hear the word dementia, most people think about older people and symptoms such as becoming repetitive and forgetful. However, when a younger person is in the early stages of dementia, memory issues may not be the first symptom. At Dementia UK, we know that the signs of young onset dementia can often be missed or confused with other conditions such as stress, anxiety, menopause, and depression. More commonly, younger people experience different symptoms, such as changes in behaviour and personality.
Dad always loved seeing what I was making at school. I couldn't wait to see his face when I brought this home. But he got really cross and walked away when I tried to show him. He's been cross a lot lately. I don't know what I've done wrong.
Changes in behaviour and personality can be due to many things, but they can be a sign of young onset dementia. Symptoms may include changes such as reduced empathy, becoming irritable, withdrawn, or obsessive.
It's not like Steve to leave halfway through quiz night. He can't have been doing that badly. I can barely read it. He'd only had a half as well. And he hardly said 2 words to me. He's not had much to say for a while now.
Difficulties with language or speech, known as aphasia, can be due to many things, but it can be a sign of young onset dementia. Signs of aphasia include difficulties finding the right words, changes in handwriting, hesitant or vague speech, and avoiding conversations.
Come on, Steve. He's walking so slowly. Although that was quite a nasty tumble he had last week. He's been bumping into things a lot lately. Just like Dad used to.
Over time, dementia may lead to changes in a person's movement and physical skills. Common symptoms include changes in how the person walks, such as shuffling, reduced stride length and walking speed, and issues with balance, such as falling and bumping into things.
This just isn't up to Steve's usual standard. Where do you get these numbers from? It isn't even finished. I've waited over a week for this. Hi, Matt. Is Steve there?
No, he's left.
Left to go where?
I think he's gone home.
Home. The client's in at 4.
Sorry, I don't know anything about that.
Okay, thanks.
Dementia causes a decline in a person's social and everyday life skills. Noticeable symptoms in younger people might include a reduction in literacy and numeracy skills, struggling to complete tasks at work, and becoming less sociable.
Same side as last time.
Yeah, click the garden wall again. You sure the steering's not out? It still feels loose.
Nah, I checked it again. It's all good. You thought about getting an eye test?
I just had one. 2020.
You might want to get a second opinion.
Unexplained changes in vision and spatial awareness are common in some types of young onset dementia. Symptoms may include problems judging distances or seeing objects, hallucinations, or making repeated visits to opticians and finding nothing wrong. If you are worried about symptoms you may be noticing in yourself, a family member, or friend, Dementia UK is here for you. Visit our website for more information about the different symptoms of young onset dementia. Or if you need further information or support, our dementia specialist Admiral nurses can help.
So, great film showing the unique symptoms that people with young onset dementia may present with. We'll now move on to the different experience that families often have when living with young onset dementia. So as Admiral nurses, we support a family-centred approach. We support both person living with young onset dementia and their family or support network around them. So pre-diagnosis, people living with young onset dementia often wait a long time for diagnosis. It can be several months, if not years, until dementia is confirmed. In this time, things can be very challenging. The person may not understand that their symptoms are due to a progressive illness. There may be a breakdown in relationships because of a lack of understanding, and often a really, really difficult time. Following diagnosis, there's often a significant psychological impact. The diagnosis is often challenging and difficult to come to terms with, and specialist advice and guidance is needed. Families need advice about how to plan for the future and what to expect. And again, that specialist dementia support and advice. Family relationships may be different within a young onset dementia family. So there may be younger children involved or siblings of different ages. There may be a change in role and relationship within the family. So the person living with young onset dementia may have been the cook in the household, and this may change. People may become carers and be supporting the person living with dementia. Managing symptoms in young onset dementia can often be challenging. There can often be higher risks due to people being independent and mobile. And again, specialist advice is often needed about how to navigate specific symptoms. Families with young onset dementia may have genetic concerns, and they will require information about how to go about genetic testing and what this involves. There is a lack of age-appropriate care for people living with young onset dementia. So this can be from assessment and diagnosis of young onset dementia, following diagnosis, including support groups available, but also looking at care homes available to people living with young onset dementia and them having the specific facilities that are required. People with young onset dementia may have significant financial commitments. They may still be working and need legal advice about lasting power of attorney and financial affairs. So there's lots of unique challenges that families with young onset dementia face and the support that they need. We'll now move on to the case study. The situation within the case study is based on a real situation, but we have changed the details within it for the purposes of sharing with you today at summer school. So a lady named Sarah in her 50s is admitted to hospital after becoming disorientated and unwell whilst driving her car. She's reviewed by the psychiatrist as an inpatient and tests for dementia are undertaken. A diagnosis of young onset posterior cortical atrophy is given. The lady lived alone. She previously worked as a solicitor, and her main source of support is a sister and her friend. A referral is made to the Community Admiral Nurse Service for post-diagnostic support on discharge from hospital. The Admiral Nurse Service completes an holistic assessment. An understanding of Sarah's interests and lifestyle is gained. Information is shared about the diagnosis of young onset posterior cortical atrophy and the expected progression in the future. Relationships with family members are supported, the diagnosis is explained, and the changes in Sarah are explained to her family and support network. An assessment of unique social needs is carried out, and assistive technology is discussed to support Sarah to live at home independently and on her own. We offer support with future care planning, record Sarah's wishes, and make plans for the future. Financial issues are discussed, including lasting power of attorney. So Sarah was still paying her mortgage, and there was quite significant concern around this. And drivability advice was given to ensure safety if returning to driving. So the key points of the case study are the lack of awareness of disease process pre-diagnosis. So the lady hadn't attended her GP before the crisis and hospital admission with symptoms that she was experiencing. A referral hadn't been made to neurology or memory assessment service at this point. Specialist support was required following diagnosis to make adjustments. So if the lady hadn't have received post-diagnostic follow-up by the Community Admiral Nurse Service, things would have looked very different, and the specialist advice made a significant difference. Psychological support was required with both the patient and family. So the lady living with dementia required psychological support after her diagnosis, but so did her family members. They had lots of feelings of guilt because the symptoms hadn't been picked up or recognised by themselves before the admission to hospital. Promoting independence is really important. So the lady had taken a redundancy and was no longer working, but she still did have an independent lifestyle. She still wanted to go out with friends, go out into the community on her own. So support was implemented to ensure that this could be possible. So if we move on to practical tips. So we advocate for supporting families pre-diagnosis and beyond, recognising that that pre-diagnosis phase is often very challenging, and offering as much support as we can whilst people are awaiting diagnosis. encouraging the person living with young onset dementia to carry on doing the things they love with support or adaptations. So people may still have hobbies and interests such as golf or driving that they still want to do, and all of this can be possible with support. Encourage the person living with young onset dementia to share their diagnosis with friends, family and work. There can often be a significant stigma around dementia, but once family members know and understand, they're more likely to be supportive. So it's really important that we encourage the person to share their diagnosis if they're happy to do so. The psychological distress is likely to be higher for the whole family, for people experiencing young onset dementia, so they will need time to process diagnosis and the changes in the person that they're supporting. Some practical steps. So the Young Dementia Network have a young onset dementia alert card, which can be helpful for people to have in their purse or wallet when going out and about. The Herbert Protocol is a form or document that has a profile about the person living with dementia that's stored with the local police service. The sunflower lanyard can be worn to identify that somebody has a hidden disability. So this can support people when going out and about, maybe shopping or to busy environments like airports. Social support for people living with young onset dementia can be challenging. Social needs can often look very different for people at a younger age than an older adult. This can often be a hidden illness or disability where the challenges people are having are cognitive rather than physical disabilities. Schemes like shared lives can be useful to match people with like-minded interests and to support them to access the community. And children and young carers may live with someone with young onset dementia, so specialist advice may be required to support this family, and Hannah will discuss this further in her presentation later on today. Planning for the future is really important. So writing an advanced care plan can allow people to express their preferences and wishes for future care. It can empower them and help them to feel in control of their future care as dementia progresses. You can talk to your GP or specialist nurse about a respect form, which is a medical care plan. And there are templates available on the Dementia UK website, as well as some useful information. So I'll now show you Jude's story. Jude's living with young onset dementia, but she's very much enjoying the things that she loves, and a great film that I will now play for you.
I think there's a stereotype of people with dementia, and they tend to be living in a home, and it's not like that.
It was just unbearably sad, and I actually just felt angry at the cruelty of it, really.
What I knew about young onset dementia before Jude's diagnosis wasn't much. My fear was that she would deteriorate really rapidly.
Jude really has embraced living now and making the most of now.
I just fill my days, you know, I swim. For me, being fit is a way that I can control what I'm doing. You know, there's sometimes that I can't find my words, and there's sometimes that I can't function mentally, but I think by doing lots of exercise and making myself physically strong is really important.
Jude's a really independent woman and always has been.
See if it works. Whoa.
And it's really important to her, quite rightly, that she maintains her independence. And she doesn't need much support with things like going to do her food bank or the choir or all the other stuff that she does.
I'm getting more into, okay, this is my life now. It's not all about my diagnosis. It's about me living my life. I see my consultant every 6 months, and she put me through to Dementia UK, and since then I've been accessing as much support from them as I can, and it's been a godsend.
Dementia UK is amazing. Just knowing that there are people there who really get it and really get what you need and just sort of understand what you might be feeling and be a space for that is really amazing.
One thing that was really important for me, definitely in the first year, was their support and to be able to talk about it, because it felt difficult to talk to family and friends about it properly. So it was just lovely to have them to, you know, just relax and talk about it.
Jude has been an amazing example of how you can carry on your life by being positive and kind of embracing it, which is part of Jude's character, really.
You lose little bits of somebody, but you don't lose all of them.
I think it's incredibly important to keep going and do stuff and live your life to the best that you can, actually. I think that's the key thing. And it's my thing. This is who I am now. It's mine.
So we'll move on to sources of advice and support now. So the Dementia UK website offers lots of advice and guidance around young onset dementia, and the QR code there will take you over to the Dementia UK website. I will show you how to navigate into the area of young onset dementia shortly. The Dementia UK helpline and clinics are available to speak to a specialist dementia nurse around young onset dementia pre-diagnosis through to the advanced stages and beyond. There's some publications on young onset dementia, which we'll show you on the website. Nationally, we have the Young Dementia Network, which offers an influencing platform, but connection and education around young onset dementia. We have the National Rare Dementia Support as well, that offers advice and guidance on rare dementias. And local support networks offer some peer support to people living with young onset dementia. So this is the website now, which I'll talk you through. So we click the link through to the website. Up at the top, information and support, and then over to young onset dementia. This is the main area of information for young onset dementia. If we scroll down, I'll show you where the leaflets are. So useful publications about young onset dementia. You can click on these, open them up. You can view them online or print them off if that's better for you. It's an example of one of our leaflets, and then we'll go back over now. And if we scroll down, I'll just show you where you can find local support groups on the web page. If you know of any that aren't listed, you can update us and let us know, so these can be added. But you just search your local area and it brings up any local groups for you on that web page. There is also a working with dementia guide, both for employers and employees, which can be really useful. These are the references for the presentation, and we'll now have some time for questions. Thank you for listening.